guys, how you doing today? I just wanted to touch base with you. I'm bringing in my Cam finale, my friend that is called the Numbers Lady. I've had such a hard time this year, and I think a lot of people have from what I've been seeing. So I wanted to touch base with her so she could unconfuse the confusion for us. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
How are you?
It's great. It's good to see you. I'm thrilled to be able to have this opportunity to talk with you.
I am too. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into what you're doing.
Okay. I am a numerologist and a psychic, but my big gift is numerology. And I love the numbers, and a little book at a metaphysical store fell to my feet and I picked it up. And ever since then, I have just been sharing the numbers with everybody. Whatever I
love it when you do. And I got validation. I got chills when you said the book fell at your feet. I just
well, it was a
Sorry about that, Kim. My line froze up. I apologize.
Okay.
I was trying to get through to you there. But anyway, back to so how long have you been doing this? Like forever? Because
Oh no, not forever. Actually, not forever. Since basically I've been doing it since I've been appreciating and loving the numbers since way back in the 90s.
That's good.
Actually early 90s. But I didn't start giving readings or doing anything until 2005.
Okay.
So
well, I've had a few of them, and I definitely enjoy being in your energy and attended a few of your seminars. So tell us about this year. I don't know. I'm used to the year starting out difficult, but if somebody tells me that this Mercury in retrograde, I may punch him in the face. This feels so much different than that.
It's been a lot more powerful than that. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that is because 2022 is 2022, which all adds up to a 6, which is about community and family and home and all those kinds of things. And those are things that make us feel secure, right? But when we have lessons in those areas, we have a lot that we have to learn. So if we don't work together to solve things and to work together, then that whole sense of being alone can actually be very upsetting to people.
Right. Well, and I think the whole pandemic and then the fracture of, I want to say society, but not really society, a fracture of a certain part of our society, making people feel really insecure as well. As far as what's going on, with politics and challenging whether you belong here or not. Are you one of the haves? Are you one of the haves not? For me, it's been scary.
Oh.
Yeah, not scary where I live in fear, but it's like you wonder where all of that's going to end up at. And financially, it's just challenging for everybody. And they say 2022 anticipate more challenges as well as for that going, as far as what financiers saying, the housing market is supposed to be off the hook. The homeless people, I just don't even know how to reach out and help them at all. If there's any help for them, it just seems to be, instead of society moving forward and helping each other as a community, I feel like we're moving backwards in certain aspects.
Well, it's almost like how it occurs to me is that we're kind of in a reset. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you turn, hold on a second. When you turn your computer off because it's not quite working.
Right.
And you have to regroup a little bit. So you turn your computer off, and then when it comes back on, whatever wasn't working works.
Right.
And I feel like that a lot of what's happened with the reset of the pandemic, a reset of even how people are working, because people are now working remotely and realizing that, that's not so bad to be remote. But the problem with being remote is that the structures of community that we have are there. They're different.
Right.
And so I see a lot of hope, and there's a real value in hope, but a lot of hope coming in the summer to October.
Okay.
There's a real shift coming. And by October, I've even used the expression that people will be dancing in the streets.
Okay.
Like there's going to be a real sense, but it's a while.
Yeah.
I mean, from now until October, we're sitting here today on the 23rd of February, and October's a long ways away, but there's a lot of things that need to happen to get us to October.
Right. Well, I've been trying to definitely get back to doing gratitude again, doing the affirmations. If I hadn't been a metaphysical thinking person, I'm afraid of where I would be right now, because we always focus on, yes, this too will pass. So if it wouldn't be for that thing at all, I think I'd be frantic, like a lot of people I see now. I just don't know how to reach out and help people under these circumstances right now. I feel so mired in it all. And I feel like everybody's just going through so much. I don't know how to put a little beacon of hope out there.
Well, one of the best beacons of hope you can do is to work within your own world. And do the things for yourself to really be there for you.
Right.
And then kind of, I think sometimes that it gets very overwhelming, where you feel like there's so many people out there that could use your help. But it's like that, helping that one little person, even with a compliment.
Right.
A smile. It's even smiling. I've really practiced smiling with my mask on.
Right, because it says it in your eyes. Absolutely.
It is in your eyes. Even, and I've noticed that, and I'm not out a lot because I am home a lot.
Me too.
And I do a lot of readings from home and doing things from home. But when I go anywhere, I practice looking at the children and smiling.
Right.
And just putting out as much good energy as I can.
I like that.
And letting that kind of radiate. And I also then, if I'm not doing well, I keep myself at home so that I'm not spreading a lot of upsetting energy.
Yeah, upsetting energy for sure. I, for one, have tried to spend a lot more time with my family. I don't know if I'm going out as much in public anymore, but I'm definitely trying to get out around to those that I care about a lot. My cousin, he was older, was getting old and crotchety, you know what I mean? And he'd even had some words for me lately. So I was kind of staying away. I didn't know whether to, move forward, move backwards, but I never was really trying to cut him totally out of my life. And then on Valentine's Day, I got a call that he was dying. And I mean, literally, my family were kind of hypochondriacs. So I'm taking all of this with a grain of salt, thinking, yeah, he's dying, And so when I talked to him on the phone, no, he was in Porter Adventist. And I at least got to tell him I loved him and goodbye. But there were so many emotions that came in with that, good and bad, because he was really a difficult person to deal with. And then our family is all about drama, certain generations. So I always took him with a grain of salt. He always had a lot of problems with a lot of other people in my life, in our family. But I always, I don't know why, I always pick the crazy ones to be best friends with.
That's because you have such a big heart, though.
I don't know, but even he even challenged me at a certain point. But then, having that conversation when at the end there, when I knew I wasn't going to be able to see him again or get down to see him, because I live in Empire, Colorado now. There was just no way it was going to happen. And all of a sudden, I've been thinking about those conversations with, flight, whatever it was, when you had to call your loved ones and say, we're going to do this and goodbye and I love you. And I'm glad we had the opportunity, but I think I'm like still in shock. I never thought I would be put in a position to have this conversation.
Right.
But anyway, I'm glad I did, but it still makes me feel weird and creepy.
I can understand. I was similar situation. I was able, not similar because but it was a friend of ours from church. And my sister wanted someone to go with her to go be with him for his last rites.
Right.
And it was amazing. They let 12 of us. There were 12 of us in the room from church with him doing last rites, which I had never done that before. And it was a very different experience for me for a number of reasons. But what was so special about that is that none of us were wearing masks in the room. They let us, I mean, they had let us all be together because this man was passing. It turned out we had to leave before he actually passed.
Oh.
But we were there for the ritual.
Right.
And surrounding him in love. And it was a very, very interesting, loving experience. But then all these other feelings came up after he passed. A lot of my regrets about that we had not had them over for dinner, like I said I was, and we never did. And, you know, a lot of things have, you know, a lot of regrets.
Right. And I try not to have that anymore. I've had that with a few family members, but, you know, I did everything I could to stay, you know, I got along with him a lot longer than other family members, including his two sisters. Completely didn't even acknowledge his death. But my cousin, who I'm very close to, I spend every other weekend down at their house, was able to get his cat and take his cat to the hospital so that he could say goodbye.
Oh.
And he left his house to the Cat Care Society, so I can only imagine how much that meant to him. But
wow.
I think that's for me, it was a big learning lesson. You know, you can't just be cutting people off out of your life at every turn. Sooner or later, you're going to end up with nothing and nobody.
Right.
You know, so I felt really sad for him, but at the same time, it was hard to feel sad for him for some of the things that, you know, had transpired at the same time. But nonetheless, I knew he was tired of living. And I know that, you know, like when I picked up the phone and I'm like, hey, this is Tammy. Hey, you know, this is Robert. Robert, this is Tammy. Oh, well, I'm dying. You know, like he was so happy. Was really, really weird energy in the whole call.
Wow. And but you learn a lot from those. You learn a lot.
And I think that's because he had driven so many people away, you know, that he just didn't have anything left anymore. But anyway, to people who are having like, you know, negativity and stuff, what would be your best thing to focus to try to get us through to this time change where, you know, the atmosphere and the energy is going to be changing for us?
Well, I think one of the things is a lot of self-care. Because when you deal with a lot of different things going on, you have to kind of slow down and you have to know the kinds of things that help you feel better about yourself. Right. That's one thing. And I think sometimes I think you have to know what things work for yourself that are your own personal self-care things. Like one of the things I do, like what I did just before we talked today, is I did some cross stitch, and I'm a big cross stitcher.
I love that.
And that really settles me. A lot of people say, oh, there is so much to keep track of and to think about, but it calms me down, and I see what little piece I finished at the end of that session. And I'm working on a Van Gogh piece that's inspired by Starry Night. It's kind of a tapestry piece. Wow. It's huge. It's like my life's work project. I hope I finish it before I pass. But I hear you. But just that little piece of seeing what I worked on and that I created something that helps me. So that for me works. The other thing is being really connected to nature. Right. And knowing the passing of, especially knowing and being connected to the moon and the different stages of the moon and the phases of the moon. I think that's really important. Also being aware of things like you mentioned with Mercury retrograde, things like that. But I think especially the eclipses, right? Any of those things that happen with the sun. And I think the seasons are great teachers for self-care, because the different way you take care of yourself in the winter is very different than how you take care of yourself in the spring. That's true. Or the fall or the summer. And so kind of being guided by all of those things, I think that's a big part of it. I think also knowing how to raise and lower your own energy. Like knowing
mine is all over. I can't seem to. Why?
Well, I mean, sometimes when it's all over, you really have to honor that you're just all over.
And I feel like I've been astral projecting so much, I'm waking up tired in the morning.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, I feel like I've had conversations with people and just, it's just so, I'm like, really, why?
Well, you can always ask to take a night off.
Really, I'm going to have to do that because it's been quite busy lately. I'm not sure what's going on. And then I go back, like I went back to my son and I'm like, we had this conversation, right? And he's like, no, we didn't. And then I'm like, am I freaking out or what's going on here? And I realized that my two planes are intermixing here for some reason.
That's funny. That having it cross over like that.
Yeah. It's hard to make the definitive line right now for me because everything just seems conglomerated. Like when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm tumbling out of a universe, not like waking up out of sleep. I'm just like, huh, like landing, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know why it's happening. I'm sure it has something to do with my spiritual involvement or something, but I'm definitely trying to remember more about what's going on in the astral plane when this is going on. I'm like, why am I having such issues with this?
Sure.
When I'm not really an astral traveler to begin with. Why all of a sudden do I feel, you know what I mean? But anyway, it is what it is. I'm working it out.
Well, do you keep track of your dreams also?
Yes. And I'm not usually a dreaming kind of person. This is what's getting me also, you know, as I'm starting to remember dreams. For a number of years, I could not. It was very rare that I would remember something. And now that's how I know I'm just all like convoluted when I wake up. There's all these things going on in my head. Well, I guess what I need to do is try to journal it out a little bit. It's so
the thing about journaling is it gives you a place for that to live so that you can let it go once you wake up and go into your day instead of kind of having it still running around.
Well, I've been trying to get more into like positive affirmations again and stuff. And I realized I hadn't worked on my gratitude projects in a while. So I'm trying to get back into that a little bit more, things that make me feel more grounded that I hadn't been doing for a couple of months. I'm trying to say, well, maybe this is what's going on. You need to get back in touch with your roots again.
That's a great idea.
I think so too. But anyway, I wanted to thank you for sharing your time with us today, Kim. Hopefully we can touch base again, maybe in a couple of months or so and see what's going on with the universe again.
Okay, great idea.
All right. You tell Peter, take care.
Okay.
All right. You take care now. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, my peeps, that was my interview with Kim Finelli. I